started with Notepad++, everybody, then they were like, and now that I see you guys, I see more and more like they're using VS Code.
Okay, I created a window inspector tool. Actually, it's a copy of one that I made for version 1, but it was interesting to see what I could do with version 2. And yeah, let's take a window. You can press here, and then you can select control, and it will collect all the windows. And the cool thing about it, what I was missing in a lot of other scripts, you can search for in it. For example, if I search for video, I only find the windows with video in it. You can say it has to be visible. It needs to have a title, for example. That's sometimes, yeah, if you want to see everything, then unselect it all, and then you get all the crazy windows that the computer is running.
Are you using the ACC library for that?
No, because actually I haven't found a good ACC library for
in version 2, no.
For version 2.
Right.
On the forum there was a post, but it didn't work for me because actually in my original script you also had a function to inspect the this control with ACC library to get more information for it.
Quick question then. How are you getting the information from the window then?
That's just the window list. You can just get it.
Okay. So you're using the window list to list all the controls inside that.
Yes.
Okay.
And with detect hidden windows, you can select if it needs to be hidden or visible, or maybe I check if the style is a specific style that also displays if it's hidden or not.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing about it's actually a copy or a rip-off of another script that I use a lot.
Before you continue with that part, so can you get the path to that control at this point or not?
The path of that control.
Right. So right now I do get the handle, which, by the way, just having the handle is really interesting because mainly when we're trying to get the path of a control, what we're trying to actually get is an ID of it, right? And we're using the path as an ID. But if I have the handle of it, like that's the most ID thing that you can get, right? Right. That's the.
Yeah, so, you have that. So, and I think you can click it. You can get the styles.
Wow. Actually, this is really interesting.
You can make it transparent.
Yeah, of course. As soon as you have the ID, you can do everything you want to it because you can, now that you have the ID, you can do absolutely anything with it.
Actually, I use it a lot. I have a program at my company where there is an error and you get an error message, and behind it is another window. And it was you couldn't access it because the error blocks everything.
Right, okay. And you had a way to get this.
With the script, and then you can finally press the other window.
Now, you know what? What I would add to this, just at the bottom of the RGB right there, maybe a way to send messages to that control. Like you just, the W param, L param, and a button to send. And you would send a message to it. That would be an interesting thing because now I could just select a control, send a message, because there are some things that you cannot do without a hotkey, right? So a hotkey has a lot of commands that you can do, but there's some other things that you could do by sending a specific message. Like for example, in an edit control, you can send a message to select some text. So you could potentially, instead of using the set the cursor one place, set a range, copy the text, and those kind of things, you just send one message, find this word and highlight it in an edit control. And that you can do with messages, by the way. Not sure if that was actually clear what I wanted to.
Yeah, it's clear. But I
Right.
was looking for another script that. This is actually the original script what
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I copied from. I don't know if you use it. Do you know it?
I have never seen it though. Yeah.
And it also has interesting things like here you can find the color.
Okay.
And the funny thing is I copied a lot of functionalities for it because you can select it and then you get
Uh-huh.
the color.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the funny thing is, yeah, I made it a lot quicker.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just noticed. Yeah.
Uh,
It's one of the things that if you, most people that stumble into auto hotkey, first they start off going, "Hey, I can send a mouse click, or I can do a hotkey or a hot string. That's cool." But once you realize how AutoHotkey can connect to the Windows API and manipulate current, GUIs and things, it's crazy what it can do. It really is. This is a
Yeah.
really good demonstration, Dimitri, of very simply how you're doing it here. But the power of AutoHotkey is just crazy.
Yes. Totally.
yeah, and I also gave you some options to show or hide some things. If you want to have it compact and just are interested in the window information. But I really like the lists are very useful. I use them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I also add some extra options where you can do it. But it's a work in progress.
No, but it looks really good. Actually, at this point, it's really good. And I found it very interesting that you were not relying on the ACC library, that you came up with a very interesting solution to it. And um, for finding out specific controls, like that's great. Actually, very quick information and a lot of information, which is uh, but some people might need just a little less information than that. They just need one or two things. And the fact that you made it so that it is optional, I don't want this list, I just want this basic information about the positioning and stuff, like that's great.
It also highlights the controls, and you can also set that off. So if it's annoying, then
Yeah,
it,
I actually like that.
yeah,
This is a
set it always
very
on
robust
top
tool.
or resizable. Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, here you can make it a little bit bigger. The lists are more visible.
Right.
Okay, that's that. And another thing that I was working on is this also actually a copy of existing V1 script.
For creating GUIs, right?
It does more.
Oh, copies.
The tab isn't working at the moment, so I commented out. So that's fine.
You have kind of like a basic. Oh, yeah, that's good. That's a good start.
I've seen the version 1 of this. Yeah.
Right, that's a very good start, because if I'm copying a window and at least the basics, you get it down and then just work on. You work a little bit less.
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and now it looks a little bit crappy because the tab was not present. Wait, maybe I can just.
No, but I think mainly, I think it's mainly the window color. If you can set the window color to white, oh right, oh right, there you go. Because the tab is white. Okay, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe I can even copy the images.
Yeah, very likely. Oh well, not sure if you can get the location of that image. Maybe it's easier, but trying to figure out what image that is would be a little bit.
Yeah, I can just copy the image itself. That's.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's
a good one.
Yeah, indeed. Also, the names of the tabs, it's a little bit hard, but I found a V1 script on the internet that could do it. It's also used in the original tool that I made a copy of it, but I need to translate it.
Right. That's awesome. Looks really good.
And also, wait, we can also create a new GUI, and then you can
drag and drop. Looks really good.
And here's all, yeah, the edit box isn't working probably. But then you can add some options. It's not perfect yet, but
Looks awesome.
Yeah, this looks great. Do you have it on like GitHub or somewhere yet with the link you could share?
yeah, I'll create a GitHub. But I was working on it, and yeah, you want to make it because, for example, the events aren't in it yet, and if I compare it to the original V1 script, it is, yeah, it's lacking a lot.
Yeah, no, yeah, because events in AutoHotkey version 2 work a little bit differently than in version 1. You have G labels and stuff like that to react to events.
The funny thing is, you know that I created
The converter.
a notepad.
Uh-huh.
A notepad.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yes.
And actually, now
You can clone it.
I just can clone it, and
What?
it even looks more to it.
A little bit better.
That's
It's a
insane.
little bit better than my version.
Yeah, that looks good. That actually looks good.
So based on the style, yeah, if you check some styles, you can set them automatically, and then this, and it also copies the whole menu. That's also,
Really
Nice.
good. Yes.
but not the functionality, of course. So it's just.
No, you would have to. It is a shell, right? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And here, for example, what was it? In the edits, you have a style that removes the border or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was apparently a flaw in my script.
Yeah, definitely
It's
keep
cool
us up
that
to date on this.
The scripts that you're creating are better than what you're doing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's doing it.
And earlier, people asked about version 2 and version 1, and we talked about how, well, I don't think anyone mentioned, there's a crazy amount of libraries available for version 1 and scripts out there. But some of the cooler stuff that people are currently developing in, a lot of the, more advanced, because, as Thom mentioned, V2 is a little bit more kind of set for programmers. Some of the cool things are being built in version 2. And it's one of those things that it's going to be interesting to see when that tide kind of shifts, where the newer stuff that's getting developed that people really want to play with is in V2. And so it's a good argument, I think, of why you really might consider switching to V2.
Right.
And just to throw it out there, we keep
Yeah,
mentioning it.
so
Always
you
put
have now
V1, V2
already
at the top of your
GDIT
script.
library. That is kind of
Read it.
how you say, a milestone that you need to cross to make it more accessible for a lot of users. The ACC library, somebody should create one or convert it, but it's a lot of work.
Well, and because the ACC is deprecated, I mean, I would say, why not just start with the UI automation instead of the ACC library, even though I understand part of why, because no one's done it for the UI automation. It's easier to borrow what someone's done and convert it than it is to, really create something new, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. So Taj did ask a question though. Can I use the send login user ID and password to a Java desktop app? I use Interactive Broker TWS, which is a Java desktop app, and I think the controls are in Chrome, and I want to send a username and password using AutoHotkey. So, of course, the short answer is sure. Right?
Yeah, you can do that.
But it's
With every
the
tool,
best
this is
answer.
where it gets to be, it's like, okay, and I have a video talking about 17 different ways you can automate programs with AutoHotkey. Generally speaking, we try to start off with the most robust and ones that are going to work very reliably. If you can use Chrome, and that's what Irfan here has his Raphidium library, which is now getting really some traction behind it, that might be a great way to do it, if it really is using Chrome. If not, you could still do like an image search, or I doubt controls. Do you agree, Isaias, or anybody? Like, I doubt controls would be able to populate it. But
Nah, it's going to be Electronium
there's
application, which
there's
just
still the
isn't
ACC
friendly.
library, which also you could use to get often the location of where it is, and then programmatically, send it there. Which would, I generally speaking, try not to use image search stuff. Right, that's my last resort. Even tabs often get the first spot and then tab, across the different spaces. And if you can programmatically get it into that first cell, which often you can, it's a far better way than doing image search.
Yeah, it's definitely faster and more accurate than an image search or a pixel search.
Given the nature of what you're asking about, I'm pretty sure you're not sharing this with other people. And that's where, if you're using it on one computer and it's you, image search stuff can work okay, right? It's when you switch across computers or people using different resolutions or having different, all this other stuff, that image search really starts to break them down. It can be reliable. It's my last resort, personally.
Especially for things that are being shared with other people. That's where it really breaks down a lot. If it is just for yourself, I don't think it's going to have that much of an impact unless you switch, I don't know, OS or monitor or other things. So there is where it would start breaking out.
So Irfan put in the URL for interactive brokers. I don't know if this is truly where he's actually trying to, pass the information. I don't know if Todd wants to confirm that this is the right link. Oh, and he did. Thank you. Awesome. Isaias, you want to pull that up and see if... Let's see.
Oh, this is for the API? Okay.
Well, and that's the other thing, is if they have an API...
Yeah, very likely you will be able to just simply send stuff to it.
So it's right. It's a whole different approach, really, right? You're not programmatically interacting with the GUI. You're just going to mimic the traffic, some kind of.
So let me see if I understand. So this API would need at least one function that allows me to pass username and password. If it doesn't allow me to do that, which there should be something about logging in up there. Yeah.
So clarify, because this is why I hate the term API. Is this an actual web service API or is this a programmatic API?
Well, this is the API. Yeah, it's a REST API that is on. So the how do I say, like, in your case, the service that you're using is a web application. You said that it's Java, and I assume it was on your computer, but probably you're going to a website and using it. You're logging into a website. Okay, so you use a Python app to log in. Okay, it is a desktop app. I see the logging thing right here.
Why don't you share your screen, Isaias?
Right, let me just 1 second.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's definitely an Electron.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it looks like it has this logging into multiple applications. Now, this is just for grabbing your interactive broker's login and getting kind of like a token to logging into a different app, which is not what you're trying to do, I would assume. Now,
that is correct. I'm trying to log in because once I start my computer, I have too many things open, and I'm trying to automate things so that I can take a coffee break and come back and everything is ready. So that is the reason it's a desktop app. I turn it on. It takes few minutes because it always updates the newer version. I have to wait. So once that is uploaded, I want to pass my user ID and password and click on OK to log in, because after login, it takes a minute to set up all my monitors and all screens, because I got multiple monitors and multiple desktops. So that is what I'm trying to accomplish by just sending a user ID, password, and click OK on that Electron desktop app. I hope now it is a little bit clearer than my text messages. I guys really appreciate all your help. Thank you so much for all the suggestions.
Yeah,
We appreciate you being here.
And this is the part that I'm trying to kind of grasp right now. So the desktop app is an Electron.js What I'm not really sure is that when I send the username and password, I'm going to send it to that Electron app or
That's
to a REST API
That's
outside
correct.
of.
No, Electron app.
Oh, okay, so to the Electron app. What we would have to figure out is if the Electron app has an API or not. Because this REST API that I'm looking at is not for the app itself. There's something separate from it. So this API, this page would not help us very much.
You're correct. These APIs are only on backend to connect and get some information.
That is, yeah, that is.
I want to mimic manual login process to this desktop app. I don't want
Right,
to go
exactly.
API route. So we have some Python apps. We have a custom applications we have built which does that, but it does not start my desktop app. I want to log in and start my desktop app, mimicking manual entering user ID, password, and
Right.
clicking on OK.
All right. So yeah, in that case, I think going with Refadium would be a good idea because if it is electron.js, it is a Chrome window, okay? As it is a Chrome window, that means that I could use Refadium to actually automate some elements of that place. So your AutoHotkey script would launch your app, use Refadium to connect to the app, and then get an element, which would be, for example, where the username is, that would be the element that you want to get, and set a text to that element, and then set the text to the next one, and then click the sign in button. So it is a pretty simple app because you just want to start your Electron app, connect to it, which I would assume Refadium might do, and Irfan is there, which might tell you if it does or doesn't. And after it connects, then just set the values and hit OK.
Can you send the link to Refadium, whatever you're mentioning? The only challenge is that I'm not able to get the element name and the window name of the login box because it's happening under a desktop app and not under Chrome browser. So if it's a Chrome browser, I can.
You don't know. Yeah.
All right.
I understand what you mean. Yes.
Yeah. How do
we know? How do we know that particular?
Correct.
So we can launch the app. The problem is then getting the element name.
Correct.
How
That's
does
where
it
I'm
look
stuck.
like? Yeah.
That is exactly where I am stuck.
Okay,
if it's a regular Windows, I use Windows Spy to do that.
Right.
If it's a Chrome thing, I go to
I
the
use
Chrome
F12,
debug and do
right.
that.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm stuck, where it's a Electron app, and how do I get that window name and that login user ID, element name, and OK button? I can do the mouse location, assuming that it always opens in one place, but that's not the clean way of doing it.
Oh, no. Actually, this is the only way of you doing it.
Sorry for all the
Refadium has a
loud audio,
function
everybody.
called get
Everybody's
element
so different on
from
their
XY
volume.
position.
Well,
But hold on.
Why don't you
Yeah.
demonstrate our
No,
tool?
yes, let me do that, but I'm thinking about something else now because Refadium would have to open an instance of that Electron thing.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how you're going to trigger that.
Right. Let me double check. But basically,
Right.
right. But let me at least start with the Refadium. We did it with Chrome Learner.
Yeah, and Irfan, he was updating it to use Refadium instead of
Yeah.
the approach we were doing, and he did some amazing work. And I haven't talked to him, so thank you, Irfan. It's looking awesome.
Right.
Happy with that.
Let me verify that I'm in the correct version right now. So I am.
And Todd, give me an idea. It sounds like you're fairly decent programming. You're not like an entry level. Does that sound right?
I used to be a programmer in my previous life.
Because that was what I was like. Hey, the stuff we're mentioning is, it's not simple, but that's awesome because it'll be easy for you to pick up.
And
Right.
I have used your Udemy course also. So
Oh, cool.
Oh,
I
awesome.
started with all that.
Right. So basically, this is the tool. This is a Chrome window, and this is the part that is going to be a little bit complex because we instead of a Chrome window, we need to get the Electron.
Get it to launch.
Right, the Electron app instead of a Chrome window, which that is a question for Irfan. Is there a way for us to launch an Electron app with web drivers, which I'm not really sure if that is possible, but basically, once you drag here, the function that this is using to gather information about it is get the XY positioning.
And even Windows 5 would do that, right? XY position, even Windows 5 will do that simple.
It's not the same.
Okay.
It's not the same because what we're getting from here is not a control ID or a control name. It's actually an HTML element.
Got it.
So it's different. So once I get the element, now I can set values to it, retrieve values from it, and stuff that with Windows Py you cannot do because Windows Py just gives you an element that is a Windows element, not
So
a.
by the way, if you go to Electron.js website, there are a lot of very popular desktop applications built in Electron, like Slack desktop app is in
Right,
Electron.
yeah.
So this would be very helpful for a lot of people who are using this desktop apps, and they don't even know that it's an Electron app. They just know it's a desktop
Yeah,
app.
exactly. Yeah, I think even Spotify is an Electron.
Yeah, it is that's an Electron app, correct?
Right,
You're
exactly.
right.
So those are very big apps. So if we were able to connect or launch an Electron app with a web driver, I think Rufadium will work just fine. The question is Rufadium able to load a, so this is what I mean. This is the function that I was referring to. He's using the get node for location. And that is amazingly good because now I'm getting an HTML element, and I could do stuff like get the outer HTML, the node ID and stuff like that. Now, if we were able to do that for an Electron app, then I think that is possible. Now, I don't have the answer.
I will try on my TWS app in a day. This weekend, I will let you guys know on a next
Verify,
call.
it's not an extension, correct?
No, it's not an extension. No.
No,
Because Irfan was saying if it was an extension, that would work. Right.
no, so basically, I think Irfan does not have the idea yet of what an Electron app is, but it is kind of like a browser. It is a browser, right? It is a Chrome browser inside a sandbox that acts like an application. That's what it is.
So if you use any Windows Spy program, the Electron app will look like a Chrome page.
It is a Chrome page. Now, and it is just that sandbox is just there to allow that Chrome. Yeah, that's a Chrome app. Exactly.
Yeah,
that's
a
exactly
Chrome
what
app.
it is.
Yeah.
Now, if there is a way for Rufadium to launch a Chrome app and connect to it, which is the little detail that we're missing, how to connect to a Chrome app, then yeah, what you're asking is doable and really simple. The problem is connecting to it.
Connecting and getting element name.
Now he says like we need a URL. It is when you say
There's no URL. There's a desktop app does not have a URL. No.
Right. It is a desktop application.
Yeah.
So I think he hasn't actually seen Electron apps yet.
Well, you know what? You mentioned there's several on some page, right? Why don't we go look at one and play? Unless someone has a question.
Well, basically,
If you want, I can show my TWS app page and the login page.
As long as it's not privileged, I just want to be very careful not to share. Which
Okay.
I'm just logging out from there first, and I will just show you the login page.
Right.
Where it stops, right? So it will.
So, incidentally, the UI automation tool I mentioned earlier, like that actually can often peek inside Chrome stuff as well. So, if all else fails with what we're doing here, take a look for UI automation. You might be able to get it from there.
Okay, so I'm sharing my screen where there is the login screen. And tell me what this is. This is a login screen. And this is the app. So if I just close this and
You lost the.
I'm just I just want to show you what happens when I start the application. This is what happens. And actually, when I start it first time, it does a lot more things. It just updates all the software and everything. and then it comes to the screen. Now, how do I pass user ID, password, and click on login using AHK? That is what I'm trying to figure out. And I cannot right click on this. I cannot do anything like I could do on a browser.
I was gonna say kind of like what Joe was saying. Worst case scenario, you know, does it target it if you use a Win Active? Like when it first launches, is where's the cursor? What's highlighted? Can you tab? That's gonna be your fastest
that's
answer.
a fantastic point. So what I have a hotkeys on this application, and I use WinActivate to set my pointer to that particular screen, because within this app I got like 20 screens, and I want to fire a hotkey on a particular screen. And if I just use this use this command for WinActivate, it will figure out. It will go to this page.
Yeah, and then if you go there for the first time and push like, I don't know, tab on your keyboard, you know, is the cursor like actually targeting something at first?
Yeah, it is.
I can't see what if you're showing me.
Did.
I just see like a blue flower thingy.
The big blue. It looks like maybe it's the other Windows desktop maybe screen.
Yeah, I think you're sharing the wrong screen.
Background.
Is it? Okay, let me just go back.
Is Zoom a Chromium app?
Yeah,
It is.
Teams
So I was
is
just
also
using-
that's a big one.
Well, not Chromium. It is it is on Edge. It is built on the Microsoft Edge.
Can you see my interactive broker screen now?
Yeah, we can see it
Yeah.
now. Yep.
So I can use WinActivate, saying that WinActivate login, and it will go to the screen unless there is no other window with login as a title. It will
Yeah,
go to
right.
the first login.
So
as it's supposed to.
if you push tab on your keyboard, okay.
It is rotating everywhere.
Yeah, so it looks like if you just
that's another way of doing
just
it.
do send, so your code would just be send tab once, send your username, tab one more time, send your username, tab one more time, press enter or spacebar.
How about the login button? So can you
It's
send some username and password text?
Just
there,
random
verify
crap.
if it shows up?
Just put gibberish in
You
there.
can- Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just put whatever you want. Just add some stuff. Put the
And I push
now
tab.
Hit tab. Oh yeah, it
Yeah.
selects it. So yeah, you could definitely use the send command to do this instead of connecting directly to the.
That's
the-
gonna be
yeah,
your
because
That
fastest,
seems like
simplest.
easy solution for now.
It is a very quick
very
solution,
fast.
right? So you first activate the window.
Yeah.
Tab, username, tab, password, tab, enter.
Yeah.
That should work.
Yeah, that I'm definitely gonna try that.
And it's decently reliable. You know, I mean, I hesitate to take this approach, but tabs work fairly well. You can cruise through pretty well.
Yeah, sounds good.
And you can
Thank
do
you,
it all
guys.
in one line.
This is fun stuff. This is fun stuff.
It is. Yeah, we enjoy it too. We got another 5 minutes here. And we're up in the hour.
Whoever that was, here's the code in the chat. It can be done in one line. If you need to slow it down, you know, you can just add a set key delay or something.
But Tom, you gave us your username and password.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, the password, you know, just has a 1, 2, 3 at the end normally.
Did Tom? Did you have any questions on your channel?
Nope. Just people watching.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet. Have we checked the survey any time recently?
Yeah, I always check it
Okay.
before we launch. You know, that I always every morning I always go and check and see if anyone's added anything.
Cool.
Thank you guys. You guys are all are awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. We try.
Everything is awesome song and play it.
Everything is awesome.
Bye, everybody.
I shouldn't sing
Yeah,
too
thanks,
much of
everyone.
that song or we'll get copyrighted. See you guys.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I guess we'll see you next week. And thanks all for being here. Bye fast. Bye, Dimitri.
Oh yeah. Alrighty. So, if anybody's still watching or watches this later, we will be live pretty much every Friday, unless it's a holiday or something. We might reschedule or just skip that week. 11 a.m. That's EST time or EDT time this time of year, apparently. I didn't know that actually existed, even though I live here. So yeah, answer any questions, talk about AutoHotkeys. You want to ask us just anything really that has to do with coding, somehow related to automation, AutoHotkeys mostly. Definitely let us know. And if you're going to miss it, or you want to give us kind of a chance, if it's more of a complicated question, maybe give us a chance so we can prepare for it. When this video posts to my channel, which usually takes a few hours because it has to process like an entire hour's worth of video into, standard definition, HD, all that kind of stuff. It's going to have a link in the description where you can go to a survey, which just kind of asks you I think 3 questions, like what's your username or what do you want to go by, so that we can mention you in the video and we know we're talking about you. And I think it also asks if you want to have a email sent to you or something. You don't have to do that. I'm pretty sure that's optional. And then the third question is just a giant comment box where you ask the question you want to ask us, just in case you're going to miss AutoHotkeys live support. So that way you can watch later, or like I said, give us a heads up if it's going to be something a little bit more complex, because I know you don't want to sit there with a complex question where we have to write 50 lines of code live right in front of you. It's probably better just to have that question beforehand. I mentioned in the comments here, something went wrong with my video stream for the first 20 minutes. I was playing around with that and I finally got it to work. Something went wrong with my key. So I had to update that, redo OBS and everything, but that got fixed. So if you missed the first half or first 20 minutes of the video on my channel, check out Joe Glein's channel. He'll have it live probably in an hour or two also on his channel. We did talk about some pretty interesting stuff. We didn't do any coding, but we kind of talked about how to do rubber duck coding, how to get help if you just want to see someone else's perspective, how to talk to people who maybe aren't coders and be like, sometimes that's a good thing to do, is get someone who's not a coder and just be like, hey, let me show you how my program works, because they might be like, I don't understand this step, because you programmed it, you wrote the code, you know how it's supposed to work, but that doesn't mean it's user friendly. So that's something that's always really hard, is stepping outside your brain and being like, how are other people going to look at this versus how, I programmed it. Obviously, I hope you know how it works. At least when you're programming, you might forget a year later how it works, which happens all the time. I always have to review my own code and be like, what the heck was I doing here again? Any last minute questions? I'm going to go off here in about a minute or two. Nobody answers anything or asks anything. That's my garden. What I have in my garden. Yeah, hide it. There we go. If nothing else comes up, like I said, we'll be here live. Does AutoHotkey support anonymous function? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Anonymous how? And what do you mean by a function? Like an actual function in the code? Not sure what anonymous function is. I just realized my face isn't even on the screen anymore. Oh no. Do 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 do. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, okay. I've never actually really played with it. I know what it is. I've never really played with it. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can. I mean, it's just just using an expression, right? I mean, it might not work exactly the same without defined. I'll have to look into that. I know what it is. I've seen it, but I've never had a use for it when I've coded in Python yet. You know, I pretty much do everything in AutoHotkey first. I tell people, like, everybody hears automation, they're like, oh, Python. I'm like, well, yeah, Python's okay for, you know, automation. But if you can do it in AutoHotkeys first, do it in AutoHotkeys first. But if you can't, yeah, go to Python. Just because Python does have way more libraries compared to AutoHotkeys for sure. But you're also adding a level of complexity there. Or in Python, they're called modules, I think. So yeah. Let me get back to you on that next week, and I'll do a few tests and write up some code so we can do some examples, because I've never done that on the Python side. So I'm going to have to see how it compares. Alright guys, I will go ahead and see you later. Like I said, if you have a question that you're not able to get to or want to give us a heads up, hit the survey in the description when it posts this to our channel. It takes like an hour or two to post because it has to process through YouTube's whatever crap. And an hour plus long video can take quite a long time to process. Peace.